Hi, Anne.
Hey Rebecca, how's it going?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
I'm excited that we have the opportunity to share with people about why to co-lead and how to co-lead, tips and tricks for working with the CAFAS materials.
Me too. But first, why don't we start with some introductions?
That sounds great. So greetings everybody. My name is Anne Heerde. I'm the program supervisor for family services at Community Mental Health of Ottawa County. I've been training in the CAFAS for I think 13 years now, and I've been training for the board association about the CAFAS for the last 4 years. Rebecca, how about you?
So, Anne, I'm here in Kalamazoo, and right now I do some work for PMTO of Michigan as the statewide fidelity leader. But I've also been training the CAFAS for, I would say, close to 14 years now. And like Anne, I've been training for the board association for the past 3 years.
All right, great. So to get everybody up to speed, why are Rebecca and I doing a little video for you? Well, we recognize that in this time of everything going on, that it's been really helpful for us to share our tips and our tricks for doing co-leading of CAFAS. And Rebecca and I are very fortunate. We recognize that we have the opportunity to co-lead, and we realize that not everybody does. So as you watch this video, we encourage you to think about, one, who could you co-lead with? Who's a fellow CAFAS trainer? Maybe that's somebody within your CMH, but maybe it's somebody else within your region. Who else in your region could you co-facilitate a training with? And if you're unable to find another CAFAS trainer, perhaps you can find somebody else in your office to kind of help share the load, because there's lots of things and details that come into mix when presenting a CAFAS training. And we believe that some of the tips and the tricks that we have for you could be helpful regardless of the other person's ability to necessarily train with you. Just having somebody else around to help support you during that day of training or 2 days can be so helpful and really a great support. So let's get started with our top 5 tips.
Okay, drum roll, please. Number 5, study up. So now that you've been trained to be a CAFAS trainer, right? Now you have to study up. So it's not enough just to be trained. You have to actually know your material and know your content. So when you're co-facilitating with someone, you have to know not only your part, but also the part of your co-leader. Always keep in mind where you are in the training and where you want to go. Anything else you'd like to add, Anne?
Well, I was thinking, as you shared that, Rebecca, especially the part about knowing where you are and where you need to go. One of the tips that I found helpful with studying up is to make sure when I did the training the day of, is to actually have the PowerPoint in hand with me. It's great to have it on your screen. It's really so necessary, though, to actually have a paper copy as well, because that way you're able to kind of look ahead and scan a little bit.
Absolutely. I agree. Ready for number 4?
Absolutely. Let's check out Rebecca, number 4.
Number 4, be an observer.
So as you're considering doing a co-facilitating a CAFAS training, it's important to recognize that when you're that co-leader and your colleague is presenting the information, it's so important for you to still be engaged. It could be really easy as a co-facilitator to kind of walk away or not be participating, but we encourage you to stay really engaged and be present. When your co-facilitator is doing the presentation, this is a great opportunity for you to watch those facial expressions of the participants, monitor the chat function, seeing if people are doing a thumbs up or raising their hand, which are again some great features of the Zoom as well. And again, when you're an observer, recognize what is your body posture, what is your facial expressions, how are those communicating to other people? It would be very easy for me to think, oh, Rebecca's got this and I know where she's going right now, so I don't have to be engaged. However, if my facial expressions or my body posture say, whatever, I'm really not interested in this section because it's not mine to lead, I need to recognize what message I might be communicating to those participants as well. Really important. Rebecca, as you think about being an observer, when you and I have co-trained before, what's something that you have found really important for being an observer?
That's a great question, Anne. And I think when we were training recently this year, when there were so many people on our screen and you were leading that, and I had that experience as well of leading and not really being able to do much more than lead my part in the training. We took turns monitoring the chat function because people have questions during trainings. We know that's what makes CAFAS training interesting sometimes, are the questions and examples that people come up with that can be really helpful for keeping people engaged. But it's a lot of work to know where you are in the material and know what you're presenting, and also monitor the questions that people are having. It can be very, it can pull you off your game and off the rhythm that you have as a trainer. So when when I was leading and you monitored the chat function, that was super helpful for me, and you could let me know when there were questions. And similarly, when you were training, I was able to scan the pictures of the participants, look at the chat function, and let you know if there was something that we needed to spend a little bit more time on.
Absolutely. That's a great tip. Thanks, Rebecca, for adding that additional information to how to be a great observer.
Thank you.
All right, and up next is number 3, seeking balance.
Lots to talk about here, Anne.
I think there is too. What do you got for us, Rebecca?
You know, I think everybody may have noticed that sometimes in some trainings, there's always a moment where someone likes to stump the trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, happens to the best of us, right?
It does, yes.
Here's the thing though, we're never gonna win, we're never gonna move the training forward if both trainers gang up on the person, right? We're not gonna win the battle, there's no winning here.
Yep. No.
It's really just about being able to address the issue, address the concern, and move the training forward. And so the important part here is using your co-trainer as a way to help shift the focus and get the training back to the agenda, because there's a lot of information to cover. What else have you encountered, Anne?
Well, I've encountered sort of a similar situation, but yet just a titch different. I'm going to call this the monologuer. It's the person who, as a trainee, wants to jump in. They've got lots of ideas and really want to share, and they almost want to serve as a co-trainer with you. They want to share a lot of examples that they have. Maybe they've been doing the CAFAS for quite some time, and they think that it would be appropriate for them to kind of jump in and take over the training a little bit. And I know for myself, I can find this one to be a little bit challenging because I want to be highly respectful. I don't want to cut somebody off. I recognize that there are people that I'm going to train that have actually more experience doing the CAFAS than I do. And yet at the same time, it can really sometimes, 1, disrupt the flow of training, or 2, take me down a rabbit trail because they start going in a direction that I wasn't anticipating. So again, I think this is a great opportunity, 1, to kind of stay calm and recognize, right, that again, I'm not going to want to be rude and keep cutting somebody off. 2, how do I use my co-trainer to be able to say, hey, Rebecca, it sounds like this person has lots of great ideas. Could you put their thoughts in a parking lot and we'll make sure that we'll come back to those at the end of the training? Or I've been able to say, hey, Rebecca, how about we encourage this person to be able to talk to us during the break? And so we're able to give them some additional one-on-one time to share some of those great examples so we can stay on target with our time frame so that all the participants can still get out of the training on time.
Those are some excellent points, Anne. Nice balance.
Thanks. I think so too.
All right. Number 2, know each other's signals. So, Anne, you know, I was thinking, we've known each other a long time, and we've been training together a really long time too, haven't we?
We have. It's been over a decade now of training with each other. And because of that, I think one of the things that is a huge key for us is that as co-trainers, we know each other's signals. We're able to watch each other's facial expressions even sometimes the sensitivity of our eye movements. We've both been able to pick up on each other's breathing patterns. So if there's a little bit of a sigh or a pause, body language, those other sorts of things. And I think it has been so helpful to know each other that way. And again, as co-facilitators, I can't emphasize enough how important it really is to get to know the other person that you're training with so that you can watch for those signals. You can recognize when your co-trainer might be feeling extra challenged or stumped, or once we've been talking for too long, we start to run out of words, right? And our brain and our words aren't catching up together. So one, it's so important as the co-trainer to be paying attention to your co-facilitator so that you can know their signals, but two, that the co-facilitator knows I'm watching you and I'm prepared to jump in when you ask me to, and when you say, hey, Anne, could you give an example? Or I've done the same thing and say, Rebecca, I'm just having a brain freeze today. Can you help me out? What's a great example, right? We know each other well enough to be able to do that. And part of that has been obviously spending time in training together, but part of it has also been learning each other's styles as we've done prepping for training as well. Just so important to know one another well enough to be able to make that a successful transition and to support each other.
So it's pretty easy because we know each other. But if we were new to training together, we might actually want to have a conversation where we were real explicit and real clear and talked about, if I get stuck and I need your help, I'm going to say a particular phrase, or I'm going to turn my body a particular way. The point being, having a conversation about how to support each other so that you can work together for the good of the training is what's important when you need to know your partner's signals.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you start a training day, if it's just one of those mornings, be sure to communicate. Hey, just so you know, the morning's been a little rocky for me and my family at home or the car or whatever. So I might be a little bit off my game. So I might need to lean on you a little bit more. And again, that sort of transparency with one another is, again, just so incredibly helpful about knowing each other, but also being great supports for one another.
Perfect. Thanks, Anne. And Anne, number one.
Woo! Let's talk about how to collaborate.
Ooh, collaborate. So really, everybody, the goal is to help each other achieve the best performance possible.
Absolutely. The ultimate goal here is to communicate in a way that's informative and, when possible, be entertaining, use some humor, be relevant.
And you know what? There's no competition here. I don't want to compete with Anne, my co-trainer. I know she's got this knowledge and this material down, and I'm going to help support her no matter what happens, because some point I'm going to need her to have my back and support me too.
Absolutely. And ultimately, the goal of being a great co-facilitator is to find opportunities to develop trust with your co-leader however you can, whether that's texting each other during breaks, doing a quick check-in, giving each other a thumbs up, some sort of praise, support, and affirmation. And again, it's all about, as you develop that co-trust, is to recognize you cannot overly communicate with your co-trainer. Be together, get on the same page, and it'll really make training go much better and have a lot more fun.